But so tonight we're assuming that we have already been looking up the hints. We kind of have, feel like we've got our feet on the ground, and now it's time to start doing a little bit more research. The rest we just have been doing family history, but now we're ready to maybe really do research. So that's where we're going to start. Can you see my screen? Now I think you'll be able to see my screen.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. So I have here kind of a sequence of things that we want to do when we're ready to start doing research. Now I'm going to see if I can get my Zoom back bigger. Sort of can, so that I can see you as I talk. When we start out doing research, the most important thing we have to do first is we have to work from the known to the unknown. So like Alice knows that her husband's ancestors came to Connecticut in the early days. Well, she can't just start by looking for people with the last name of Covey in the early colonial days. She has to work from the known to the unknown in order to be successful in research. So that's the main thing that we're going to do first. Now, the way that we begin this is, I'm going to try to move this out of my way. Let's go to, you only get to see half of my screen. I went to Family Search, and then I looked under Tree, and then I looked under Fam Chart, and I chose Family Lines. Now, if I look at this pedigree chart, I've got it set at 7 generations. There are some places where I go back pretty far, and there are some places that I just have big blanks. So I need to look at my pedigree chart and decide what it is that I want to search. So on Alice's, we pretty much know we want to look for, is it William Elijah? Is that his name? And I think maybe I want to look at, I think maybe I want to search for Jacob Notman. A couple of years ago, I said, okay, now it's time to get serious about research. And I started searching Charles Orrin Everett, and I was able to get back a half a dozen generations. And now Jacob Notman is kind of another brick wall on our family tree. So I think that the next time that I get serious about research, Jacob Notman is who I need to search for. But so I need to look at my family pedigree chart and decide where to research. Now, if all I'm looking at is temple work, then I could go to the pedigree chart that turns colors if temple work's not done. But I pretty much have the temple work done on everybody that can be done, except for those people that were too chicken to call their children and ask their children if we can do their temple work. But here you can see where my blank spots are. Now, temple work is one way to approach it. I tend to approach it more, where is my heart? In earlier days, I knew without any question at all in my mind that the line I needed to be working on was my grandmother Michael's line. That's where my heart was. That's where I knew I needed to research. And when I started, this was about as far back as we knew. And so beyond there, well, with the exception of these few up here, are people that I have researched and found. But my heart told me that that's where I needed to be, was on my grandmother's line. So you decide where it is that you want to go. So if I choose that I want to work on Jacob Notman, then I'm going to look and see what I already know about Jacob Notman. And I can open up his page and it's going to tell me a lot about him. Now, the first thing I need to know is, what do I already know? So when I open up this page of his, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the whole page. What I like to do, now there's two kinds of brains. There are the brains that can do anything on a computer screen or on a phone screen and understand it completely. Then there's brains like my old brain that I have to see it on paper. You know, my brain hasn't made the transition from paper to a screen yet. So I go to this right-hand side on my family search, and I go to print, and I'm going to print out Jacob Notman's family. So this is Jacob Notman, and I'm going to print out his family with sources. And I want to make sure that I print out his family with sources and his daughter's family with sources, because I know more about his daughter than I know about him. And his daughter is Elizabeth. So I want to print out the family group sheet that has Elizabeth on it. And I want to print out the family group sheet that has Jacob on it with his children. And that way, all of the information that's already known about Jacob and Elizabeth is in front of me on paper. Now, if you think on the computer screen just as well as you do on paper, then I recommend that you go to your documents on your computer and make a new file called Notman Research. And you'd probably put it under documents. And I have a section in mine called genealogy, and under genealogy I have data. So I'd probably go to underneath the data and make a folder called Jacob Notman Research. But you need to have one place on your computer where you put all of the stuff in regards to that. So I would go ahead and I would print out.
Just a file on that individual. Yeah.
Print that out. I would also go to the sources and I would print out a list of the sources. Now, the one way to print out a list of sources is that when you're printing out the family group sheet, you say, print out the family group sheet with sources. Now, I don't like that list quite as well because it lists every source for every person. And I would rather just put this list that's here on his page. And so the way that I would do that is I would turn it all, I would select it all. And right here, I'm not succeeding in selecting it. But you can do it. And then it's going to tell me, I can look then in just one look, and I can see which censuses he's already been found in, if he's been found in land records, if I have his death certificate, if I have a birth certificate, if I have a marriage certificate. I'm going to have the list of all the things that I already have as sources for him. And that way, I'm not going to look again for something I already have. Something else that I want to print a copy of is a pedigree is a research log. And the way you find a research log is you open up your family search and you come over here to where there's a question mark over here by your name at the top. And when you click on that, then you get one of the words is Help Center. And so you click on Help Center, and then this is the screen that you get. And so on the search line, put download forms. And if I click on that, then it's going to give me an option to choose which forms I want to download. And so I can choose research log, and it's going to give me a picture of a research log. Now, what a research log is it's a list of what you've already looked in and what you found for in this case, Jacob Notman. So when I decide to look up a census for Jacob Notman, or his daughter, or one of his other children, then I can write it down on here and keep track then of what I have already looked at. If you don't do this, what's likely to happen is you'll make either a notebook or a box or a file folder, and you'll put every paper that you find for Jacob Notman in it. And then you won't do anything more for a year. And when you come back, you'll think, oh, I need to find him in all the censuses. So you'll find him in all the censuses and put in the duplicate copy in the file. And then a couple of months later, you won't remember what you did. So you'll do it over again. And that's wasted time. We don't want to waste our time like that. So this way I can write down what I found and where. And maybe I'll find it in an unusual place. Maybe my cousin Louise will send me a letter and say that she's been thinking about women's suffrage and how our ancestor went to Wyoming and helped them fight for the vote for women. Well, then I want to put down that Ada Mae Edwards went to Wyoming and helped with the suffrage, and the source was a letter from my cousin Louise. And then I won't say, oh, I think she went to some state and helped some with women's suffrage, but I don't remember exactly what. But I can look it up because I have the list. So when you're serious about research, you definitely should make a research log.
Question.
Charles has a question.
This form, the research log, you can print it and write on it, but can you save it to her file?
Okay. You can also, if we click over here, we have a download button. You see how if I move my mouse around on this screen, over in this corner, I have a down arrow. If I click on that down arrow, then I could get a digital copy of it. And with the digital copy, I can put it in the computer file that I've made. So, looks like I already got it. So that's how you can do it, either on the inside the computer or on a paper, on paper, whichever you choose. But that research log. So the forms that we've talked about are a pedigree chart, a family group sheet, and a research log. And I think you pretty much need one of those for each person that you're doing researching. Maybe you're going to want to even staple those to the front of a manila folder. I've seen people go to the library at Salt Lake and they carry a dragging suitcase, size huge, in so that they have enough paperwork to research for one day. Well, I'm not that fast of a researcher. I can do a manila folder for one day. And I can put what I need in the manila folder to tell me what I plan to search for. And that's enough paperwork for me. If you take your laptop then, and you've got it on your screen, then you've got it all. So another thing that you're going to want to do early is you're going to want to look at his timeline. Now, if this is somebody that you've already researched a lot, you don't really need the timeline. But if you're just starting to research on him, and you have to kind of make friends with somebody before you can research him. So we want to look on the timeline and find out about him. So if we look here, we see that he's in Herkimer County, New York, for his birth and his marriage and the first of his children being born. And then later on, he moves from Herkimer, New York, and starts showing up in Ohio. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe just his children show up in Ohio. But, oh, it says here he moves to Jefferson County, Wyoming, New York. And then later he lives in Michigan. So you kind of have to know where somebody lived in order to know enough about them to research. Now, once I've printed out that and studied that a little bit, I like to find a red pencil. And I know there's also a way to do this on the computer, but I don't remember how. Maybe I knew once, but I don't know now. But I take my red pencil and I draw a circle around any information that's missing. So if I didn't know where he died, I would draw a circle around death. If I didn't know who his father was, and I don't, then I would draw a circle around the rectangle that has his father. And then after I have done my red circles, then I can look at that sheet and I can say, oh, this is what I need to know. I need to know his father. I need to know a copy of his marriage license. I need to know who his in-laws were. I need to know, in this case, he's got a whole lot of children and I can find the whole list. So I can say, well, very likely that's all his children. But if it only has one child listed, then I'm going to say, oh, maybe there's more information I need about his children. And so I'd circle some spaces down there for children. And that way, as I am thinking and looking to start my research, I know where to start. I start where the red lines are. One of the very next steps is to find out what is already known about this person. So I am going to look on Family Search, and I'm going to look up his children and see if his children are married and if they're on Family Search. I'm going to look up his wife and see if her family is on Family Search. Then I'm going to go to Ancestry. And when you search trees on Ancestry, should we do that? Let's go to Ancestry. And so on Ancestry, we would go to the search button and we would choose public member trees. And that way I can see what pedigree charts somebody else has already put in. And I could put in Jacob Notman. And I haven't done this yet, but I would need to do this. And I'll need to fill out enough other information about him that I can search. Maybe I should real quick come back to his name and now go. But yeah, all of my fancy pre-found tabs aren't working because I have too much other stuff here. But I might find out that 25 people have already submitted files on Ancestry with information about him, which might or might not be accurate. But it's going to give me maybe some of the stuff that I have circled red, they're going to have information for that they've already found and sources that they've already attached that prove that. So I'm going to want to do that search on Ancestry. Then I'm going to want to go and do that search on the other partner sites that the church has, mainly MyHeritage. And if we haven't talked about this before, the church membership for Ancestry is mostly the United States. The partner for MyHeritage is a company from Israel, and it's mostly European. And Find My Past is mostly the British Isles. So I'm going to want to check at least Ancestry and MyHeritage and see if Jacob Notman is in there. So what I am doing is I am working from the known to the unknown. And I am finding what is already known before I start looking on unknown, because I don't want, if somebody has thoroughly researched Jacob Notman and put it all on Ancestry or put it all on MyHeritage, I don't want to spend the same number of hours that they spent finding it. I don't want to spend my time finding the same stuff that's already figured out by somebody else. If somebody else has already found it, then I'm going to have to do enough research of like check their sources out and see if their conclusions were accurate. But gee, they can save me immeasurable amounts of time. Now, the next thing we need to do is get better acquainted with where they lived. And so we have to find out about it. So I cannot pronounce the name of the county in Ohio where he died, Cuyahoga, something like that, Ohio. I need to find out where that is. And Herkimer, New York, I need to find out something about Herkimer, New York. When I was doing this on his daughter's in-laws family, I found out, I knew they were from Maine. Well, I found out by looking up the locations that Gloucester, Massachusetts, during colonial times was the big seaport. And when they needed a bigger seaport and didn't have room, they moved to Gloucester, Maine. And so that's why his family was from Maine, is they were sailors. And so I learned more about him. Now, then why did he move from there to Ohio? Maybe because he didn't want to go be a sailor. I can't really answer that, but you need to know a little bit more about the location. Another example is my Lorenzo Dow Wade's wife's family and Lorenzo Dow moved to Jasper County, Illinois. Now, why in the world did they move to Jasper County, Illinois? They moved to Jasper County, Illinois because President Jefferson said, we need a road that goes to Ohio. Our country does not have good roads, and we want people to be able to ship their goods and move and visit and other things by traveling on good roads. So Congress give me an appropriation so we can build good roads to Ohio. And so they started in Washington, D.C. and built the national road westward through the little corner of Pennsylvania and on to Illinois. And it stopped in Illinois. And so when it got to the little corner of Pennsylvania, the Van Dyke family decided that's what they wanted to do, was get employment by building the road. So they moved from location to location and built the road. And when the road got to the end, that's where they stayed. Now, I would have never known that they came from this little corner in Pennsylvania if I would not have or I wouldn't have known why their son was born in this little corner of Pennsylvania if I had not learned a little bit about the history of that place. So how do you find out a little bit about the location where they lived? One way to do it is you go to Family Search and go to the search button. Well, I think, goodness, I'm gonna have to, I don't know how to get rid of a pencil. So, give me a minute to try to figure out how to get rid of a pencil.
Maybe just can click on it. Was this helpful?
This what?
Was this helpful? If you just click on that, will that finalize that screen? I don't know.
No, I don't either. It's not seeming to come off. Well, if you go to the word search, one of the choices under the word search is Family Search Wiki. And Family Search Wiki is kind of like all the genealogy research lessons you need in one location. And so you can go to Family Search Wiki. I'm gonna try to turn. Gee, I don't know at all. I don't know how I got the pencil. I don't know how to get rid of it. So you go to Family Search Wiki and look up the location. You can, so when you open up Family Search Wiki, you get a search screen and you fill it out. And so you would put down Illinois locations, or else you would put down Jasper County, Illinois. or you would put out Herkimer County, New York. And it's going to then give you an information page about that county and doing research in that county. Now, there's a couple of other sources. And they're not online, but I like them very much. This is the book we used to use ages ago. It's called The Handy Book for Genealogists. And we have a copy of this in the Family History Library. And my husband pointed out that it says, may not check out. So he said, so I didn't check it out when I went to Family History Center. I just brought it home to you. But this book is excellent. And then Ancestry, as they have tried to expand what they can do, they have come out with a book called The Red Book. And the Red Book and the Handy Book are both very similar. Because I grew up using Handy Book, it's the one I tend to use the most. But if I look up Illinois in the Handy Book or in the or in either of the two books, one of the things I'm going to get is a map, and it's county by county, and I can find that county. Then it is going to give me a list of all of the counties, and it is going to tell me when that county was formed and what it was formed from. So if I look up Jasper County, it is going to tell me when Jasper County was formed and what county it was formed from. So Chuck just looked it up because I always forget. It was formed from Crawford County and Clay County. So if I know, if I could pretty much guess that, and I could do this by different ways, like looking for land records, but I can look up and find out when I think they got to Jasper County. So maybe first time I find them in the census in Jasper County is in 1840, but I think maybe they were there in 1830, but I can't find Jasper County in 1830. It's because it hasn't been formed yet. So I have to look up which county was it formed from, and then I can look in that county, and then I'll probably find it. So you can follow the locations of who kept the records. A lot of the records were kept by the counties. Now, earlier in this page, on this chapter on Illinois, it is going to go through the main record sources. We could say, well, let's do a lesson on the 8 major record sources and learn what's in those record sources. But another approach would be to say, if we're doing research in Illinois, let's read through these 3 or 4 pages on Illinois, and it will tell us birth certificates in Illinois started at this time, and this is how you get them. Death certificates for Illinois started at this time, and this is how you get them. Land records are kept by the county, and this is how you get them. And church records, most of the people in this county were in such and such a church, and this is how you get records for that church. Wills are kept in the county, and they're called probate records, and this is how you get them. And so by reading this chapter, you can find out what record sources are available for the place where your ancestors were. And then you can figure out, based on which the different records tell about, which are the records that you should be searching in order to be able to find that kind of record. So this is so critical when you're doing research, is to be able to figure out which records are available for which place. So the 2 books are Red Book, which is published by Ancestry, or the Handy Book for Genealogists, or the Family Search Wiki, which is found under Search in Family Search. Now, if I'm saying, well, I think that maybe he left a will, but I don't know anything about wills. How do I find out about wills? Then you go to this book called The Source. And we have this book also in the Family History Library. And so in the book, The Source, there's going to be a long chapter on wills and how to find wills and what they might tell you and what you should know to research them. There's like 50 pages of census of what you can know to be a better searcher in the censuses. Now, I probably spent the other week, 45 minutes on the census, and here it's got 50 pages. Obviously, I didn't get anywhere near except the surface. So The Source is going to be your genealogy textbook if you want to study. And I think it's very likely that The Source would be used as a textbook in the family history classes at BYU. So those are 3 books that are very useful as you are researching locations and wanting to know what records are available in different places and what you might find from the different places. We have a few other books at the Family History Center that are very useful. One is a book that tells about if you lived at this place in England, this is the name of the church that you went to, because you need to know what name of church, what the parish's name was in the Church of England, so that you could look for your ancestors' birth, marriage, and death records in England. And so we have some of those kind of more specific sources at the Family History Center. But these 3 books are really the main 3 books for, in my mind, for learning how to research and getting information about how to get acquainted enough with your ancestor that you can figure out where his records might be. One of the main record sources that we as members of the church need to use is a collection of all of the records that the church kept in pioneer days. And the wiki section, and we also have the printout of that in the Family History Center on our turnstile thing. So many records that have little tiny clues that are so important for early church members. So that's something else that we really want to remember if we're looking for early LDS ancestry. Now, by now, most of us that have early church ancestry, somebody's already found it, hopefully. And hopefully they now have those sources listed under sources on the page of our Ancestor and Family Search. Okay, now I've just been talking and talking and talking. What questions have you thought of as I've talked, or are any comments about what I had to say?
Oh, I'd like a copy of that list at the very beginning of what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go back to that, I was writing that down too.
You know, that's, I can't get rid of this pencil.
The research tips.
And if I turn everything off, then I'm going to lose Zoom.
Yeah, I think Zoom blew up today.
So let's see if I can go to share or chat. Can I go to chat on Zoom? Oh, you know what?
Why don't you just send it to
I'm going
us?
to click mouse on this thing right here, and now I can do it. I don't know where that came from. I thought that was from Zoom, but it's not. Now I have an arrow. So now I can go to this.
Yes.
And if you will go in Zoom to chat, you have to have the whole page to do chat. If you will go to your Zoom page and find the word down at the bottom, you have to move your mouse around, and then you get this list at the bottom, and one of the words should say chat. If you will put your address on chat, I'll mail it to you. Now, I could look on LDS Tools if we were in the same state, but we're not in the same state. So, but I can either print out a copy and have my husband bring it over to you, or I can mail it to you. Alice, we're not going to bring it over to you this week.
Vicki,
But you are going to send it to me,
That's
right?
if we were just, oh yeah, just put our address in there. Or, I mean, your email address, right? Email address,
Email would be easier.
Yeah.
Yes, put in
Yeah.
your email address.
okay.
Now, probably somebody else has made up a better list than this. But this is the list that I made up as I was preparing my lesson.
Oh, no, I think it's helpful. It kind of gives a guideline as if someone asks you to help them research a name, one family name. This gives you a really good guideline to explain it to them, the steps, and help them through it.
Now, maybe what you'd like to do is take your computer and make a file under Documents somewhere that says Family History Lessons, and put this in that file. And then when you're saying, now, what was that book that Nancy said that we should get at the look at in the Family History Center? Then you would have the name. I don't have it totally download. I just have the name. I don't have the publisher and all of that, but I do have.
The Handbook for Genealogists, we do have a really old copy of it from like probably the 70s. And I do remember using it to help look up counties, but would there be a more updated version that you would have at the Family History Library? Because, you know, they know more.
Well, my copy was from the 60s.
Oh, uh-huh.
And in those days, what we did is we took the map, and if the church had been successful in microfilming most of the courthouse records for that county, we would color it in with colored pencil. And so some of the states hardly had any counties colored in. Some of the states had a lot colored in. Nowadays, we're not only interested in microfilming, we're interested in digitizing, and we want to know which ones have already been indexed. So altogether different. So this is a 2006 copy that we have at the Family History Center. And it's even possible that we're going to get a new, I'm not even sure what the most newest, I don't know how many more editions since this one. The same with the Red Book. The Red Book is about a 2006 edition. I don't know how many more editions since then. And the book, The Source, it has a huge chapter on how to use the internet to find these kinds of records. And that's something that I haven't learned yet. So I need to study that, because when I did the biggest bulk of my research was before everything was available on the computer.
So Nancy, I have a question. We don't really have access right now to the Family History Center, do we?
No, but we would arrange for you to borrow it.
Okay.
Diane's boss has asked her if she will take charge for the time being of all of the books that are in his office. So she has about 50 boxes of books in her garage. And it's very likely that she has newer editions even than these books in her garage. So between borrowing from her and borrowing from the Family History Center, you could do it.
Okay. Yeah.
Our attitude right now about the Family History Center being closed is, if we have members of our stake who want to research something that is available at the Family History Center that is not available elsewhere, that we will arrange to meet them at the Family History Center and let them in, and if they'll take charge of cleaning before and after, that they can use it.
Okay.
We are also doing that with the missionaries. The missionaries are doing their proselyting videos that they've been doing. they've been making them at the Family History Center.
Okay,
So
thank you.
you betcha. Any other questions?
I don't think so. Now,
Okay.
next Sunday is Labor Day Sunday. Are you going to do anything or are you going to take a break?
Historically, we have been closed on Labor Day, so I would say take a break, unless there's things you want covered.
No, we're fine. Well, we don't know what we're doing, but we didn't want to miss if you were doing it, but it
Well,
seems like it's kind of a
No.
holiday, you know.
It is, but I'm gonna be stuck at home. I know what my next week is bringing me, and it is bringing me stay at home. I'm having knee surgery on Tuesday. I'm not going anywhere.
Are you having complete replacement or
No, I'm just having it scoped. I have torn meniscus
Mhm.
in 3 places. So I'm having it scoped because I don't want a replacement yet.
Mhm.
So, I'm sorry, but Nancy, I read somewhere that this Sunday, right now, was going to be the last time we're going to have this for a month, at least with you.
That's wrong.
Just,
Okay.
I don't know if she realized it was wrong, but that is what she put down. She said Nancy's last class this month,
Yeah,
or Nancy's last class. Well, it's my last class in August.
yeah, I didn't understand. I think it sounded, for some reason when I read it, it sounded like you weren't going to have a class for another month.
Yeah, that's the way it reads. So twice in September, Diane is teaching descendancy research. And
Mhm.
she is really good at descendancy research, and she does it more deeply than most people do. You know, some people are just gonna use one of the quick and easy phone apps that find who doesn't have temple work done and doesn't even know if they're duplicates or anything, just really quick finds them, and then you can go get temple work done. Diane knows how to, and she calls it no empty chairs, because our ancestors are not going to be happy if they have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren who do not have their temple work done. And
Right.
so she is going to teach for 2 weeks in September how to check that. And that's, like I said, that's called descendancy research. And then I will teach the other 2 weeks later in, well, maybe not Labor Day. Later in the month, I will talk about migration. And then she is going to teach in October about immigration. So immigration is when you move to a country. Migration is when you move within the country.
Okay.
And can I say something about, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, John.
To tout her classes on descendancy research, I've been doing all the Hispanic research for my wife and have not paid a lot of attention to the Baird line because everybody keeps telling me it's all done. And I was talking to her down at the Family History Center. She says, it's not all done. I said, that's what they say. So she came over to the computer and it took her about 15 minutes to get about a dozen brand new names that have never been considered, never been found or anything else just in our Baird line that, you know, nobody.
It's all finished. Yeah.
Yeah. That just out there, the information was out there, but she just boom, 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 boom. You know, like I said, it took her about 15 minutes, maybe not that long. And I had a whole group of people to do. So she is really a superstar, and that's her favorite way of doing research. So.
Yes, and she's got a couple of clients that she does professional research for that she's been working for them for months, and they say, as long as you can keep finding temple work, we'll keep paying you. And she keeps finding temple work because she knows how to do it.
And
so we can all learn.
Not onesies or twosies in the numbers. She turns in, 100 new names to people all the time. Just
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And I firmly believe that my great-grandmother is not going to be happy if she has great-grandchildren who don't have their temple work done. Just like I'm not going to be happy when I have grandchildren that
Yeah,
are
can you
young adults
imagine?
and haven't chosen to go to the temple yet, you know?
Yeah, can you imagine being up there and having us down here doing all this stuff and messing around and forgetting somebody? And so the next chance they're going to have maybe is during the millennium, and that could be 1,000 years from now. So yeah, they're going to be very unhappy if
I don't want to be that busy during the millennium.
oh yeah, what do you want to do?
I want to get as much done as I can now. Now I say that, and
So we can go
I'm still
fishing.
selfish enough that I don't do family history all day like Diane does, but I want to keep working on a little bit all the time. I
Yeah.
think when we do a little bit all the time, our mind remembers our ancestors. When we don't do anything at all, then we get busy with other things. But that's why I like sometimes at the beginning of a lesson to tell about what I've done lately that was successful, whether it be finding out how my ancestor got back to the United States after World War II, or whether it's helping my sister's sister-in-law figure out how to work family search, or whatever it is. I think it's good for us to do a little bit all along, and it keeps it in our memory, and it keeps us being inspired to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The question, oh, I'm sorry, Nancy, the question about Labor Day then, are we gonna have a class next Sunday or not?
No, we will not have a class next Sunday unless the two of you say, will you repeat the hints class?
Oh,
And if
yes.
you send me an
yeah,
email and ask me to repeat that, then we could repeat that.
Yeah, we might have family things going on that we're not sure exactly what's gonna
Yeah.
happen, so.
Then let's
I just
plan on
wanted-
let's not plan on it. Let's plan on other things next Sunday.
Okay,